Rock Hudson is the most famous name in a giant quilt, a memorial to tens of thousands of men, women, and children who came along very different roads to the same fate.
Ron Winters, Wayne Field,
David
Ray
Watson,
Wright Jr.,
Rand Bazimowski,
Edward Richards,
Fred, Andy.
Sometimes those of us that make documentaries can feel that Hollywood doesn't have a heart. Our film's proof that it did. Sandy Gallen, Howard Rosenman, Carol Baum.
My name is Howard Rosenman. I'm a movie and TV producer. Well, I knew that I was gay.
How did you know you were gay?
Because we belonged to a beach club, and when all the other little boys went to look at the women in the solarium through the slats, I didn't go to the women's solarium. I went to the men's solarium. So I knew I was gay. And then when I was 4 and my father changed his whole tone to me, it was scary and I didn't understand it. But it made me really tough. It made me like, I don't want to be bullied like this. And it changed my whole personality. And over several years, I went from being a nerdy, shy kid to being really, really tough, and to flouting authority, and to not listening to authority's rules and not trusting authority, because my father changed so radically, and I didn't get along with my father at all, because I felt that he didn't like me. And it was like, really? You don't like me? Well, fuck you, I'm gonna show you. That's what it was like. So if ever anybody bullied me, especially when I was young, I would let them bully me. I would goad them on to bully me in my nerdy little way. And then I would become like Superman. I would take their arm and twist it behind their back and tell them that I would break it if they ever fucked with me again. That's what a tough motherfucker is, okay? They never, ever bullied me again. And that stance, when I developed that stance, it served me well in Hollywood because no one fucks with me. When I was 12, in 1957, it was really not cool, and I was conscious of it, you know, and I shut down my sexuality for 8 years. I didn't want to be gay. And then when I was 18, I fucked 100 girls to prove that I was straight. While I was in medical school, I was still kind of like nerdy. I had thick glasses. I was very low-key and kind of frightened in a certain kind of way. And then one night, I walked into a gay bar in Philadelphia. And I was wearing this Irish knit sweater. It was a turtleneck. My hair was very curly and blonde. And I walked into this gay bar. And as I walked into this gay bar, every single guy went like this. Their head turned. By the time I got to the end of the bar, it was like, whoa, that's powerful. And I walked back, and the same thing happened. And I got very, very in touch with and aware of my power sexually. I was in medical school in '67. I volunteered for the Six-Day War. So I went to Israel like 3 or 4 days before the war. I was a medic. I got training very, very quickly. And when the Gaza Strip was conquered, they moved me to the Rafah salient, Rafiach, and I did triage and amputations. And then 30 days after the war, Leonard Bernstein, the great composer-conductor who wrote West Side Story and was the head of the New York Philharmonic and the Israel Philharmonic, came to Israel, and he came to conduct Mahler's Resurrection Symphony on the newly reconquered Mount Scopus, and he came to visit the volunteers. I'm standing in my whites with the stethoscope hanging out of my pocket, blood-stained white shoes, and Lenny sees me and says, "Oh my God, you look just like a guy that I know in New York who's my waiter at a discotheque." And I answered in Hebrew, "Maestro, I was your waiter." Whereupon he kissed me on the lips, gave me 4 tickets to the concert. My parents had flown in from the States, ready to pay $1,000 a ticket. But at the party after the concert, the maestro asked me if I wanted to be a gopher on this documentary that they were making about him, Lenny. And I worked on the documentary, and he said to me, "You should leave medical school and go into the arts. You're too much of a great storyteller. You'll never bow to the mistress of science." I didn't know what he was talking about. And then I went back to medical school to Philly in September of '67, and I was assisting on an amputation. I'm listening to Lenny saying to me, "You'll never bow to the mistress of science." And I decided to take a leave of absence. Went to New York, called up Lenny. I'm here, I'm married. I'll introduce you to two of my best friends. So he introduced me to Katharine Hepburn. She was doing a musical called Coco, about Coco Chanel. And then he introduced me to Stephen Sondheim. I told my father 3 things in one day. I was leaving medical school, I was no longer religious, and I was gay, the trifecta. My father said to me, "You're too much of a schmuck to make it in the world of the Gentiles. You'll come crawling back to me for money." And I said to him, "The next time you see me, we'll be in the back of a fucking limousine." And the next time he saw me was in the back of a fucking limousine. I made a Barbra Streisand money. I made so much money that my father couldn't believe it.
You're the lady from Beverly Hills. I'm not a fighter.
You're not a fighter?
Do I look like a fighter?
No.
Huh.
Oh, listen to this, kid.
You know, when I came out to Hollywood, all I wanted to do was be famous and know famous people and be friends with famous people and be invited to the right parties and get the best tables in the restaurants and get my name in the newspaper and make a Barbra Streisand movie. And the funny thing is I accomplished all those things, okay? But I was a party boy. All I did was party. The 70s for me were one big fucking party that never ended, okay? Drugs, sex, parties. It was, everybody was in that world, essentially. But there were some people that were more serious. I floated by on my intelligence and my looks and all that stuff, and I wasn't really serious about the work. And so when, in 1981 and 82, the AIDS crisis was fulminating, and my doctor told me I had AIDS, and I went to Israel to die, and then what happened is I didn't die because my doctor in Tel Aviv said, if you have the virus, by 1985 they knew it was a virus, it's a very attenuated form of the virus, you're not going to die from it. And I had an undiagnosed lactose intolerance, the symptoms of which mimic AIDS, sweating, fainting, you know, diarrhea. And then eventually I took the test in 1987, and I was HIV negative. And I promised, I made a deal with God that if I could have the second chance, I don't give a fuck whether I'm ever invited to another party or not. I don't care if the restaurant doesn't give me the best table. I don't want to know Barbra Streisand anymore. I don't want to know any of those people. I just want to make sure that I hire the best writer, come up with the best ideas, be able to develop relationships with the agents, managers, and lawyers. And I became serious, very serious about my work. And what mattered, what I realized what mattered is the work.
Honey, just say it. What's the big deal?
Yeah. Okay. I met somebody in Rome. He's an American. He's from LA, actually, and his name's Brian McKenzie, and...
Well, out of that came Father of the Bride, Family Man, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, my documentaries, Common Threads, which won an Oscar and a Peabody, Celluloid Closet, nominated for an Oscar, so won me my second Peabody, Paragraph 175, Brave Miss World, which I do for nothing. I do those documentaries for nothing as a way of giving back. Those works are important. In the gay culture, they're very important. They're kind of singular.
Während ich da war, wurden alle Homosexuellen transportiert nach Mauthausen und sind fast alle.
Now, eventually I reconciled with my father. You know, they never were crazy about the gay thing, but that was a generational thing. Right. But they loved me. My father was very proud of me. My mother died in 2001, my father died in 2008. They both moved back to Israel. But on my father said to me towards the end of his life, I still can't believe that Rock Hudson is a fagala. What? That Rock Hudson is gay. And he said to my sister right before he died, we were too tough on Svi. And he recognized it and apologized to me in a funny kind of way. Never loved the fact that I was gay, but accepted me, you know, loved me, I guess unconditionally at the end. I made a movie called Call Me By Your Name, which was up for 4 Oscars, Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Adapted Screenplay, which it won. James Ivory wrote it, and Best Song. And it's an incredible movie. And when I read the scene, which Michael Stolberg sits with Timothée Chalamet on the couch and says to Timothée Chalamet, because they realize what's going on in the middle of the summer between Armie Hammer and Timothy, he says to his son, treasure this moment. It's the only time you're ever going to have a first love. I wish I had done it when I had the chance.
Look, you had a beautiful friendship. Maybe more than a friendship. And I envy you. My place, most parents would hope the whole thing goes away. Pray their sons land on their feet, but I am not such a parent. We rip out so much of ourselves to be cured of things faster that we go bankrupt by the age of 30 and have less to offer each time we start with someone new. But to make yourself feel nothing so as not to feel anything, what a waste.
Okay. He's telling his son, I had a gay experience, but I didn't follow through the way you did. Treasure this moment. It's lovely. It's the only time you're ever going to have it. Well, I read that and I said, my father wasn't like that with me. And you know what? Everybody wants a father like that. Gay, straight, black, white, whatever. Chinese, Korean, whatever. Everybody wants a father like that. And I knew that that scene would make my movie transcend.
How you live your life is your business. Just remember, our hearts and our bodies are given to us only once. And before you know it, your heart's worn out. And as for your body, there comes a point when no one looks at it, much less wants to come near it. Right now, there's sorrow, pain. Don't kill it. And with it, the joy you felt.
That it?
Thank you very much.
What'd you learn that you didn't know?